Namaskar and a very good afternoon to everyone. I am Mukta Kandial and you are watching our special live interactive session Teaching Learning Intervention for Inclusive Classroom. And for this entire week, CIT NCERT has come up with a 6 days online training on specific learning disabilities. And today is the second day of this online training, and Saturday, that means 25th of June will be the last day of this online training. So you can register yourself for this training through this link that is being flashed on your television screen. Also, you can join through the link that is being given in the description box of this session on our YouTube channel, that is NCERT Official. और एक और जानकारी, आखिरी दिन जो हमारा ट्रेनिंग का रहेगा यानी कि सैटरडे 25th of June, there will be a quiz live on the CIT website. And whoever will be scoring more than 70% will be given the award certificate from the NCERT. So the topic we have today on the table for discussion is manifestation of SLD in classroom, and we are joined by one of the two esteemed guests with us. The very first expert we have today is Arun Fernandez. Sir is founder and managing director at D Learners. Namaskar sir, and a very warm welcome in the session.
Morning ma'am.
And the second expert we have today with us is Professor Rama. Ma'am is former professor of special education and Dean Academic, Regional Institute of Education, NCERT Mysuru. Namaskar ma'am.
Namaskar.
And along with me, you are seeing the sign language expert Ms. Gargi Shukla with me on the screen, who will be interpreting the entire session with you, for you. And you can watch this program on PMeVIDYA channel number 6 to 12, also on our YouTube channel, that is NCERT Official. So if you have any question, any queries related to this session or to this online training, you can call us on a number that is 8800440559. You can also reach to us via email. Email address is being flashed over your television screen. Also, there is one more medium, that is our YouTube channel, NCERT Official. Through live chat box option, you can drop your question, any queries related to the session or this training. Okay, so without any further delay, let's start today's session. I'll directly head to Arun sir. Sir, my very first question for you is, how is SLD manifested in the classrooms?
So basically SLD through a teacher, if the teacher is wanting to identify the child having a difficulty in reading, writing or SLD, they should just find out whether the child is having the board copying abilities correct. Why? Because in regular terms, what actually happens is when all the kids are given a chance to read, everyone reads very well. But when the kids having reading struggles or writing difficulty, they will not be able to read as fast as other children. And when they are asked to copy from the board, other children copy with phrases or short sentences or words. But SLD children would copy from the board in word by word, which means that will become very difficult for them to complete their academic needs of copying from the board. These are all very similar, very regular symptoms which a teacher can identify. And and Rama ma'am could also kind of give insights on the same, I think so.
Yes. Before that, I would like to just give an idea about what is the recent concept of that SLD, because that there is sometimes it may be narrow, it may be this one. So I can quote about British Columbia Association of School Psychologists, which define about different roles of the that is not only school psychologists and different personnel who will help us in identifying the disabilities, particularly specific learning disability. So here we can consider these disorders are different from other individuals, as they have more problem in processing the information, that is perceiving, thinking, remembering or learning. Okay, so there are various areas of that is specific learning disabilities also. So on the basis that we can say dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, etc. So coming to that, how we can identify, and that we can identify that is based on certain early warning signs, even at the preschool level. Say, for example, that there will be some mild problem in the motor development also, but that is not very obvious, like in case of idea or something. But when it comes to language development, they are little bit late in talking, and pronunciation problem also may be there. They have difficulty in using appropriate vocabulary, and also that rhyming, that when we teach rhyming or expect them to rhyme, that they have difficulty in learning numbers, the alphabet and dates of the week, which are presented sequentially. And also that we can, they exhibit some kind of behavior problems, like extremely restless and sometimes easily distracted. They have trouble interacting with the peer group. And when they go to even school level, from that is kindergarten through this one also, when we expect them to learn certain academic that is skills, they have difficulty in differentiating the sounds and also the letters. Sometimes confuse us with even the most common words, sight vocabulary like run, eat, etc. And also that they commit some reversal errors like BD or inversion M and W. And sometimes transposition, that means the position of the letters in a word that will be changed, so that felt will be read as left or no as on. Like that, sometimes there will be substitution. They know the word, for example, house is there, that they will just decipher the meaning and they tell home. So like that, even when it comes to mathematics, they have some simple difficulty. They have difficulty. Recall is very slow in them. And also learning the new skills take more time, especially which depend on more memorization. And coming to the behavior problems, they are more impulsive in the sense without considering the consequences or anticipating, they express whether their emotions or ideas or behavior. A lack of planning, so whatever they have to do with the time or that space, they can't plan properly. That even while holding the pen, the pencil, that they are very unstable, so that they cannot write properly. They have trouble in learning about time. Time here, not only reading the clock, but is the concept of time. How much is 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and all that they have. So time management is very difficult. They have a poor coordination, particularly fine motor coordination. Sometimes that they get confused about surrounding and they may be prone to accidents. So these are the symptoms which are exhibited early, that we can identify them on the basis of these kind of symptoms. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for throwing light. Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for throwing light on the question, the topic. Ma'am, if we talk about behavior, so what do you think? How does the behavior of the children with SLD differ from the ones without SLD? Rama, ma'am, can
Hello?
you? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you just tell once again?
Yeah, ma'am, the question is, if we talk about behavior, so how does the behavior of the children with SLD differ from the ones that do not have the SLD?
Okay, thank you very much. See, that is very important. When it comes to some of the symptoms or whatever the observer behavior, they may appear similar to others. But that if we try to understand what is going on at the psychological level, that we can see they have difficulty even in the processing of the information, which we may not find in other types of individuals with some difficulty. So they have attention disorders. Sometimes that they may be hypoactive or that is excessive active also, and they can't pay attention for a required amount of time. And as I already told, they have fine motor coordination problem. And not only in the verbal language, even non-verbally, that they have difficulty, and social skills difficulty also. That is why they cannot interact with their peer group or understand the intention of others, what we call pragmatic learning difficulties. And when it comes to oral language also, they have difficulty in speaking, vocabulary, in mathematics, etc. But all these things that we can attribute it to difficulty in some of the psychological processes, like recognition of the sounds, letter of the words, or short-term memory. So they lack other organization, and they cannot adapt a proper style of learning, and they cannot plan certain activities also. So from this diagram, the model, we can understand any learning process that takes place in mainly three stages. Whenever there is an input, the input may be visual or auditory or kinesthetic, anything. So that an individual has to pay attention for the required amount of time, and they have to process the information. That means to find out whether it is similar or dissimilar, and also that with the working memory, that means it is a short-term memory, and they should be able to judge whether it is a new knowledge or a old knowledge, and they should be able to link, so that they consider the activating process. And also higher order, they can use sometimes logic and reasoning to make the information more meaningful, because that if it is only meaningless, it will be difficult. And by using even auditory processing, visual, that means understanding the sounds and also the pictures, that information will be transferred to long-term storage, and whenever it is required, it will come back to the short-term, that is the working memory. So that the output will be spelling, testing, writing, or any kind of thing. But what is happening in the children with the learning disability, they have difficulty in the beginning itself. Sometimes they can't pay attention, or that their short-term memory also may be limited, their processing speed may be very less, and they have difficulty in discriminating the sounds and the pictures, and all that hinder the transfer of the information from the long term to long term, then short term to long term, and thereby that input also will not be there whenever it is required. So these are some of the differences that we can notice, depending upon that if they have any problem. They can have problem at the phonological level itself. That means understanding how many words are there in a sentence, or that the rhyming, or that understanding the phonemes in a particular word. For example, if I say stress, what are the sounds that are there? Or nakshatra. When I say what are the sounds, that is the phonemes that are there. So these are some of the difficult things. Even if I say that certain words, that sounds or phonemes, they cannot blend it and making it a word. For example, if I say sagara, they should make it a sagara. That may be difficult for them. So by using the sounds, they should be able to produce different words. That is very difficult for them. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
And as we are joined by numerous number of viewers with us, the very first question, one of the question we have is from our viewer. He asked that how can short-term memory be improved who suffer from SLD?
Short-term memory?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you please repeat it once again? That's a audibility problem.
No problem. Ma'am, the question we have received from one of the viewers is how can short-term memory be improved who suffer from SLD?
Okay.
Yes.
Short-term deficits, how that is going to affect, isn't it? So that see, any information has to be retained in the that is the sensory level for some fraction of time. So it is not there for the longer duration. When the input is there, sound or anything, see that I am continuously speaking, that the audience have to keep all the words in the mind for some time, then only that it will be transferred to later stage, because some kind of processing take place. And they have this kind of problem, and even the visual also, the decay will be fast. As soon as the impression comes, sometimes it may be decayed, it may be due to attention problem, or that they have some kind of a deficit. It is like a platform wherein you can do many kind of manipulation before shifting to the long term. So they have difficulty in the first stage itself. So what you have to do, you have to present the same information again and again. what you show for a smaller period, that they require longer period. For example, copying from the board. So teacher will write something on the board and within given time they erase the board. But these children, they take a lot of time because of concentration and that short-term memory, and also sometimes they cannot read fast, and many things are there. So what you have to do, presenting the information again and again, giving more time is the way that we can help these individuals.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and I hope the viewer Raman Raju, you got your answer and you will start working on those tips that Professor Rama has just given. Arun sir, we'll now head towards you. So the question we have for you, sir, is how does the classwork assignment reports of child with SLD differ from peers?
So basically, as Rama ma'am mentioned a lot of things here, when we are talking about writing and when it is memorizing or performing good in academics or so on, we can actually focus on something called VAKT, visual, auditory, kinesthetic and tactile ways of learning. With these kind of learning methods, the children can actually perform well in academics, wherein, like for instance, the normal reporting structure or assessment structure is written structure. But if we kind of adopt oral test for children, that way the children will actually perform well. Why? Because they know the conceptual understanding about the concept, but when it is coming to writing part, if they are not able to write, so that should not define their reporting structure, or that should not define their analysis of their knowledge. So if we can adopt oral test for kids to, for us to understand if the child is understanding the concept well, that is one. And the next thing is this is another way of reporting or assessing a child's knowledge, rather than just measuring the child by only reading, writing aspect of it, but understanding the child, whether the child is able to understand a concept. That is one. And the next thing is on the reporting structure, what I could also tell is there are elements wherein we can analyze the child. Today there are a lot of PLP, they call it as individual educational plan for the children. And if the teacher is having enough time, they can actually analyze the child's level of reading, writing, and basic arithmetics, and matching to the intervention plan for the child. So if that works individually for the children, actually the children will actually improve. And refraining a child from rote learning. Repetitive learning might not really make the child enhanced, but it can have VAKT forms of learning, that is visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and short-time games. Those ways, if they're able to impose with the child, I think so the child's reporting and the child's academic performance will also increase.
Thank you, sir. And again, we have a question from one of the viewers. Preeti Yadav has asked that does this disability also found in adults too? I mean, is there any relevance with the age group as well?
Yeah, I myself is a dyslexic only, so that's why I've been in this panel. And dyslexia, I won't say it is a disability, I will only say it is a difficulty on reading, writing, or core academic skills, is what I perceive it as. And yeah, it is relevant for everyone, and it is not it is a permanent gap between others and kids or individuals having SLD, wherein the left and right, as ma'am was mentioning, left and right orientation would be a difficulty. And when it is, but there are ways wherein you can overcome it and master it also. But we need to kind of go in one direction to actually master it, rather than look it as a strong difficulty. And it is still there, but people can improve. Like for instance, before, when I was in school, I was sent to 7 different schools, but now I've done 2 masters, and I'm pursuing my PhD in SLD itself. So people or individuals can improve, but this is a scenario, or SLD is a lifelong situation wherein an individual will face, but you can definitely develop coping mechanisms to work around it, and it is not a end to It's like you can develop different abilities to cope around the situations, whatever you or any individual finding it challenging.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering that. Arun, sir, we have one more question from our viewer, Swati Pandey. She has asked that ambidextrous person also face this problem at some point of time.
So, can you repeat the question again?
Yes, sir. The question is, ambidextrous person also face this problem at some point of their time?
The first thing is ambidextrous. I don't understand that particular word. I'm not able to hear it properly.
Sir, ambidextrous.
Okay. Rama ma'am, do you have any answer for that?
Yeah, dexterity, you mean? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, our viewer, Swati Pandey, has asked, ambidextrous person also face this problem at some point of time?
See, that the problem may be there in any individual, any time. But the only thing is when the problem starts during the developmental period and continues throughout the period of life, then you can consider it as having a specific learning disability. Even many individuals at the early stage, they have the problem. All of us have passed through that kind of problem. Similarly, if we are having any other kind of problem, like a concentration problem, we may have some difficulty in learning some component. But here what we say is, every individual faces the difficulty, but it is the duration and the intensity and the severity that differentiates children with SLD from anybody else with some kind of difficulty. But if you take intellectual disability, they have problem not only related to language processing, they may have problem in almost all the areas, even gross motor skills also. So that's how that we have to differentiate what are the problems that are there at a given time, and also what is the duration, what is the intensity, that differentiate one person from the other.
Thank you so much.
I think that I answered.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rama ma'am, for answering that. Arun sir, we will conclude this session with you with the final question, sir. As you also, yourself said that you also suffer from dyslexia. So, based on your experience, how can we encourage the spirit of friendship among students, among children, with or without SLD?
Yeah, first thing is there is no one struggling or there's something called an empathy circle. Teachers and people around can actually develop, wherein these kids are not having the reading writing ability, but definitely if we can kind of make children around them understand these children are different from others. Like when you are able to read write well, this child is not able to do so. So if you are able to help the child, and rather than break the child's morale by saying that you're not able to do it and so on, that actually that empathy circle really would work. And one small thing my teacher does in a school, in my school when we did it, is we kind of every time when I stand up to read, everyone else will actually clap for me, even I read 1-2 sentences also. That actually creates a huge motivation for me. But before that, when I was having another teacher which actually do not understand my difficulty, that time the teacher would yell at me saying that why are you not reading it properly? So this is the two differentiators. I can say that the empathy or the a child being more happy and more social will start from someone supporting the child in school, in their families and in their parents group, wherein they recognize the strengths of the child rather than the weaknesses of the child.
Thank you so much, Arun sir, for these great tips. I hope this reach all the students out there who is needing them or not. Once again, thank you so much, Arun sir and Professor Rama, for delivering this informative and this fruitful session to all the students, all the children, all the parents out there. Thank you so much, ma'am and sir.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And I would like to thank all our viewers as well who get connected with us throughout the session. I would like to inform that again, this is a 6 days training that will be ending on Saturday, that is 25th of June. And tomorrow the topic we'll be having to discuss is building synergies. So stay connected to PMeVIDYA channel and NCRT official. Namaskar.